Good afternoon, beekeepers and bee enthusiasts. How are you doing? It's another great day at the farm, and we're hanging out in the snow. It is beautiful outside. It's pretty cold, but we're staying warm for the most part. We hope you and your family are staying warm. We hope you guys had a good Christmas, happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. We hope you guys have had a good winter season so far. And we've got a really good video planned for you today. And of course, today we'll be talking about becoming the best beekeeper that's right for you. Now, there are many different ways to keep bees, and there are ways that are very simple, and there are ways that are overly complicated. And a lot of you are probably thinking like, well, I would like to become a beekeeper, but I don't want to do all the work that's involved with beekeeping. And I'm here to tell you that even if you don't want to do any work whatsoever, you can keep bees that way. It really is that simple. Or if you want to get really big and have a lot of beehives and extract a bunch of honey, you can also do that too. There's many ways to keep bees, and we're going to talk all about it today. It's going to be a great video, and without further ado, let's break right into it. Now, if you take a look behind me right now, you can see we have a swarm hive that's up in this tree. Now, the cool thing about this swarm hive is there's actually a colony of bees living in this box right now. And the even cooler thing about that is we've had these bees, I think it's either the second year or the third year. Now, these bees have lived up here for a few years now, and I haven't done anything to these bees. I've just left them there in this box. And now, with it being wintertime, they are in a nice winter cluster on the inside. They're not, coming out and foraging right now. It's just a little too cold, but they're on the inside. They're staying warm. They are surviving off their honey stores that they collected throughout the season, and they're doing just fine. And I want to make it abundantly clear. If you think beekeeping is really cool, but you have anxiety about it because you think, okay, well, I don't want to get in all the work involved, you can do something as simple as putting a box in a tree just like this, baiting it with good bait that can catch a honeybee swarm, and then the bees move in, and then you just let them do what they're going to do. You can watch them, you can check them out, and you can basically just observe them. We kind of call this an observation hive, and you can just observe them. And even if you're keeping bees on a larger scale, let's say you've got 10 colonies on your property, having an observation hive is not a bad thing, because these bees every single year, they will swarm, and they will send swarms out in your area that you could catch at the same time. So having an observation hive, whether you want to do some small scale beekeeping is nice, but even if you're keeping a bunch of hives, having an observation hive is not crazy. You can collect the swarms off of these hives, and they're cool to watch. And guess what? It requires no work at all. You put the box up in the tree, you level it, and you make sure it's baited correctly. And then after that, you just watch them from that point on. And it really is as simple as that. And I love observation hives because I like to just come out here and watch them. And in the springtime, you'll actually see them cluster on the outside of the hive doing their swarm rehearsals and getting ready to swarm. And then you'll see it gets really busy. And you'll see whenever the springtime comes, we'll be filming this, and you'll see this hive get pretty busy. So if you're looking to do like really easy beekeeping and you don't want to do all the work involved, you don't want to worry about stings or whatnot, get you an observation hive like this. If you're a little worried about getting stung around these hives, then I would suggest putting them, 10 or 15 feet up in a tree. And then after that, they basically won't bother you at all. So, keep it as simple as you want to keep it. If you want to do really easy beekeeping, get you an observation hive like this. It's just like keeping a birdhouse and basically putting a birdhouse out in a tree or something, and then a family of birds moves in. It's the same thing, right? Like you're putting up a bee box, the bees move in, you're watching them. Don't listen to all that nonsense you'll hear elsewhere that you need to tend to the bees and all this stuff. Just watch the bees, and it's a lot of fun that way. And it really is simple, and you don't have to worry about work or anything like that. You just watch the bees, and it's a lot of fun. So some of you are probably saying, okay, Wes, well, what if I want to keep bees on a little bit of a larger scale? Maybe I want to get some honey, because if you're keeping bees in an observation hive, you're not really collecting honey from that hive. You're just leaving them alone and letting them do their thing. But let's say you want to keep it on a little bit of a larger scale. and now you're looking to collect some honey at the end of the season. Well, it doesn't get too much more complicated. So basically what we're doing now, if we want to expand a little bit and we actually want to extract honey at the end of the season, is rather than just keeping the bees in an observation hive, now we're catching them in those same boxes and then we're transferring them to a main hive such as this. Now this is a Lands hive. Lands is my favorite style of hive. I really love it. I think it does really well, especially in the wintertime. It has really good insulation. But Lands hives are really good, and what this main hive allows us to do is extract honey. The whole purpose of this hive is to be able to keep the bees in a well-insulated area, but also have a lot of empty space room where we can add honey frames to and extract the honey frames at the end of the season and get a little bit of honey. And you probably saw in our most recent honey extraction video, we actually did extract from this hive. We actually did get some honey. This hive, if some of y'all remember, was that very aggressive hive that I got into in the spring, and they, I think I got stung like 6 times. They were aggressive, but in the fall, they were more docile. I had my smoker in the fall, so it was a lot better that way. And yeah, it was really as simple as that. And keeping bees and extracting honey is as simple as catching them in a swarm box, moving them to a main hive, and then basically you keep the bees in the main hive, you add honey frames in the spring, and then in the fall, you pull the honey frames out. And as simple as that. And then in the wintertime, right before the winter hits in October, you insulate the empty space on the inside of the hive so you don't have a lot of empty air on the inside of the hive. You don't want empty space. It's not good for the bees on the inside. You want to keep it as well insulated as you can. So we take stuff such as straw and we fill it in the empty space so they have good insulation and they do good. So keeping bees in this way, this is the way we keep it, okay? We're not looking to keep 100 bees on our property, or 100 colonies on our colony. I'm sorry, 100 colonies on our property. We're not looking to do that. We are just looking to keep it simple, keep anywhere from 5 to 20 hives or so, and basically keep it so, we've got enough hives where it's not too much work, but then it gives us a little bit of honey at the end of the season. And I love it. I love keeping it this way. I don't want a tremendous amount of work, so I don't keep 100 colonies on our property. I keep it very simple. I basically keep the colonies we catch in the spring. We catch them in swarm hives, and then we move them to main hives like this. And then we basically just watch them. Sometimes we actually catch the colonies on the inside of the hive itself, which is a lot, you would think it would be hard, but it's actually pretty easy to do. You basically just bait a main hive, and then you wait for a swarm to move in. And then, yeah, at the end of the season, you go to your colonies that were strong, and then you pull the honey out, you extract, you get you some honey for you and your family and some of your friends, and it really is as simple as that. And, like I said, we weren't very large scale this year. We didn't have a ton of colonies we extracted honey from, but we did have a few. So then we did get honey at the end of the year, and that was really nice. So, this style of beekeeping is my favorite. I don't want this property, and we have about 40 acres of land, and I don't want to keep 100 colonies on this small area. I want to keep it simple. Like I said, I've never really wanted to go past 20 colonies. Anywhere from 5 to 20 colonies is good for me, and it allows us to teach. It allows us to show you how the bees work and get you some good videos. But it also keeps it simple for us, and we don't have to work ourselves to death. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you get involved in trying to get 100, 200 colonies, it's going to be a decent amount of work, and it's going to be a lot of stuff you got to keep up with, and it's going to be a lot on your plate. I recommend, if you just want a little bit of honey, here and there, just get you a few colonies, catch them in a swarm hive, move them over to a main hive, and then in the October period, pull your honey frames out, extract you some honey, and it's good to go. It's really as simple as that. Don't overcomplicate it. And if you're going to keep bees this way, I promise you, it's not as hard as it looks. It can be really simple, and the honey at the very end is so rewarding. It's always delicious. And, if you keep it the way we do, treatment free, not disturbing the bees too much, catching swarms, that honey is going to be the best honey you're going to taste. And I can guarantee you that. So we like keeping bees this way, and it's always worked for us, and we definitely enjoy it this way. Okay, so some of you out there are probably saying, okay, Wes, I need to make some cash, okay? I need something to invest my money into. I got a bunch of money, but I need to invest, and I want to do beekeeping. I want to make a bunch of money off beekeeping. And the short answer to that from me to you is don't. Okay. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you were trying to make money, I would much sooner tell you to get involved in real estate or Bitcoin or something else other than beekeeping, because with beekeeping, it is a very like you really it's hard to explain, but when you're keeping bees, you can have a lot of loss very easily. You could buy, like, for example, you could buy 200 packages of bees, which would cost you a lot of money because they go for like $200 each. So you could get you 200 colonies of bees in the form of packages, and basically lose anywhere from 100 to 150, if not more, of those colonies in a single year, and lose almost your entire investment. And that is the way honeybees are. No matter how good you think you are of a beekeeper or how smart you are at doing it, there is nothing stopping your apiary from having a bunch of loss in a single season. You have to understand that honeybee colonies have around a 50% survival rate around the world at any given period, which means all the colonies out there, about half of them will not make it going to the next season. But of course, bees swarm all the time and they reproduce on a colony level by swarming. And so they're always making up those numbers that are getting lost. But still, a lot of colonies throughout the season are being lost every single year, up to 50%. And because of that, I would not tell you to invest, $10,000 into a bunch of packages of bees and then having up to like 75%, if not more, of your investment gone in a single year. Okay. Beekeeping is my favorite hobby. I really enjoy doing it. I love to teach beekeeping. I love to show people how beekeeping works and show them how they can get involved into a very simple style of keeping this beautiful insect, and how they can get a little bit of honey here and there, and the fine art of catching swarms. And I love doing it, but I would never look at beekeeping and say, I want to invest, $100,000 or whatever into trying to, get 300 colonies with hives and everything on my property, because I could literally lose most of that investment in a single year. It is a very risky way to get involved into investing. And I will tell you now that the commercial beekeepers out there, they are extremely experienced in what they're doing. Even though I wouldn't say they treat their bees the best, they somehow manage to keep them alive a lot of the time, but they still have heavy loss. And so they're always splitting, and they're always doing all kinds of things to keep their bees alive. And it's a huge amount of work for them. It's a huge amount of work for them, but there's not a whole lot of them. Okay. There's only a few. And if you're looking to really expand to that level, I would just recommend that you don't. I mean, I know that's kind of hard to look at and say, well, Wes, you're not thinking big enough. I'm just telling you, for my advice, for me to you, my advice is you don't invest a ton of money into beekeeping and trying to make it large scale. If you want to keep a smaller scale bees, then go for it. We do it. I know a lot of people that do it, and it's a lot of fun for us, and we have fun. But if we were to lose all of our colonies in one year, it really wouldn't be that big of a deal, because the next year in the spring, we would just go catching swarms again. And, I'm not buying a bunch of bees to replace my lost bees, because I think it could be a waste of money, if I'm being completely honest. And I think if you want to invest your money, I think you should go elsewhere. I don't think you should invest in trying to make a ton of money off of beekeeping, because it is a very risky investment. And a lot of people that try to get involved into it that way. I've known farmers that have tried to do that, where they'll buy like 50 packages of bees, and then they'll lose like all those packages of bees. And mind you, a package of bees is $200. So 5 colonies is $1,000. So it can become a lot of money in a short amount of time. So I would tell you to stay away from trying to invest a ton of money in doing large scale beekeeping. If you really want to do it, go for it. But I would tell you to shy away from it and invest your money into something else, because there's a lot better places you can put your money into. If you're getting into beekeeping, do it because you love the bees. and you want to get a little bit of honey out of it or whatever, or you just want to watch the bees, do it that way. And I promise you, you'll appreciate it, and you'll appreciate keeping your money as well. So what style of beekeeper are you looking to become? You can go many different ways about it. You can keep it really simple, get you an observation hive, and just watch your bees like you watch a birdhouse or something like that, and keep it really simple. Or you could expand a little bit. You could, get you a few hives that you can extract honey from. Of course, I told you at the end, I would recommend from getting way too big about it and getting like super large scale. But in any cases, there's many different ways you can keep bees, and keep them the way that you feel is the most comfortable for you. And if you just like watching the videos, that's cool too. Whichever way you want to go about it, but anybody can keep bees. It really is a very simple way, and I love beekeeping. I love interacting with the bees and checking them out. I think they're the one of the coolest things on earth. I mean, I really think they're very fascinating, very smart insects, and they're very beautiful. But you can keep them yourself, and if you do decide to keep them, you can keep them in a very simple manner, and keep it in a way that's really easy for you, and go about it that way. We love keeping the bees the way we do. We keep it really simple. We only keep the bees that we catch from swarms, and we maintain them throughout the year. And if we lose bees, it's fine, because the next year we just catch more bees. And yeah, it's really simple for us, and it works for us. I enjoy doing it. I'm never going to become a huge scale beekeeper where I've got like 100 colonies. I'm never going to do that. But I will take care of the bees that we do have, and we'll make sure they've got a really good shelter. They've got good homes. They're not disturbed. They're not given treatments or anything like that. They're not given sugar water or any of that junk. We're going to keep them really simple, and they're going to have a really good place to stay when they're here on our farm. So keep your bees in a very simple, sustainable manner, and your bees will really appreciate you for it, and you'll have a really good time. So we hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, we'll see you soon.